That means we're live. Yep, we are live. All right, so I'm going to put the music on. I thought this was so appropriate. You've got to dance.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style no one else could play. He was a top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone.
Should have put my picture of my uniform behind me.
Should.
He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam.
Got nothing in here.
Because he couldn't jam.
Hello, Ali. Hello, everybody.
Because the next day the cat went out and
we'll play one more chorus and then I'll let it stop.
When he plays reveille, he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot, a toot, he blows it 8 to the 5. In boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with him.
I think that's a fabulous song. I was convinced it was the trumpet that you played, but apparently Martin Colclough, who's sitting with me here tonight, was in Company B. So that was a psychic link, I reckon. So hello, Ali, hello, Wendy, and hello, everybody else that's on here. Please say hello. Please give me your questions. Remember, there's no live readings on here tonight because that's not what we do. But if you've got any questions, we would both be very happy to answer them if we can. So hello, Denise. Got the lovely, hello, Costa, the lovely Martin Colclough. And as some of you know, Martin came, was it 2 years ago or was it 3 years ago?
We came last year and the year before.
Was it last year?
Or was it? Oh, no, we couldn't last. Yeah, just before COVID lockdown in March. Or was it the year before? 2 years ago.
That was the year before. That was the year before.
So it was 3 years ago and 2 years ago.
3 and 2 years ago. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Ian. And it seems like forever, but it seems like yesterday as well, because, you know, when you were here, you made, both of you made such an impression. Steph, because she looked so gorgeous and she was so gentle, and the way she talked to everybody, and people still talk about the way she said, you know, there was one thing that I remember, and Steph said that if you get stuck, you just go, and they are telling me, and they are saying, and the number of students that remember that. So, you know, you're both remembered very, very fondly, and we can't wait to have you back. So that is good. So we've got lots of people popping on here. We've got Gillian, hi, Jenny Doherty, wonderful, and Simone. It's a good job you're not on screen, Simone, because she's had a nose operation and she's a bit black and blue. I know. So much healing coming your way, Simone. From Company B, I still can't get over that. That's a bit of a quirky thing, isn't it? So, oh, yes. Now, I was going to say this. You're a man. The reason I picked that tune, because I thought about some of the things that you told me. You're a man. I'm doing a psychic connection here. You're a man. You wear glasses. You have hair that's graying. You're 6'2". Yeah. Anyway, you're a man that doesn't tell others to do anything if you can't do it yourself. Now, that is a trait that I absolutely admire about you, because hence the learning the instruments and learning how to do everything before you get your, especially when you were in the military, and of course in your mediumship. And that was a story that sat with me, that you couldn't tell others to do something if you couldn't do it yourself.
That's true. Including climbing. In the army, I remember, you know, to give you an idea of what I'm like, I'd been away playing rugby, and when I came back, we were stationed in Gibraltar and we were doing an exercise, and my platoon commander said, well, we need to get to this location and we've got to attack it without being seen and get. So he sent me out, because all the other NCOs were out doing reconnaissance patrols. He sent me out with carte blanche, you know, an open credit card. I could go anywhere I wanted, and I knew roughly where the position was that he wanted to attack. But to get there, we had to climb up the back end of the Rock of Gibraltar, where there's a submarine net that was stopping the rocks falling onto houses. And I'm terrified of heights, but I couldn't say to my men, go up there and have a look. So we climbed up the back end of Gibraltar, up the submarine net. And then when I went back to my platoon commander and told him, I said, there's a way at the back, I said, but we've got to climb up a submarine net. He was like, oh, that, because he was only a young man. That sounds exciting. So we took the whole platoon up the submarine net and attacked the position. We're the only platoon to attack the position that weren't seen before we got there. So
wow.
Nobody else thought of climbing up this submarine net apart from crazy guy here.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. But I love that trait about you. Michael James Ivers said you're one of the good ones. Kim's on here, Lenny, Dor, Carolyn. But it is nice that you've got a reputation like that as being one of the good ones, Martin. But I love the fact that, especially with mediumship, you can't teach people to do something if you can't do it yourselves. And I see a lot of people who are, one-hit wonders, or, they've done a quick fix course, they think, and they're able to then teach mediumship. And, it doesn't work, does it? You've got to be able to do it yourself properly.
That's true. And I know when it came over and we did the mediumship course and the trance course. And I know some of your students were surprised when I said that I studied trance for 17 years before I did my first public demonstration. And when I tell people that, they go, why weren't you good enough? I said, it's not a matter of being good. It's when the time's right. Yeah. And it came purely by choice. At that time, I was a member of the SNU and I was teaching at the Arthur Findlay College. And a friend of mine, Libby Clark, invited me to do a demonstration of trance mediumship. And I said, well, I've never done it in public. She said, shut up and just do it.
Can imagine, Libby.
When Libby tells you to shut up and do it, you do it. So we did. And then I was the chairman of one of the committees on the NEC, and we were doing road shows. And I went to a church in Manchester, Horwich Church, give them, their little 5 minutes of fame. And we did the road show, and the president said to me, what do you do? I said, well, I teach mediumship, spirit art, photographic mediumship, and I also teach trance. She goes, do you do trance demonstrations? And before I had a chance to say anything, the word yes came out of my mouth. So they booked me, and we went to Horwich Church. And when they opened the door, there was 149 people in the audience for my first demonstration. And
wow.
The 17 years of preparation set me in good stead. Now, you don't have to wait 17 years, but I'd seen so much bad trance mediumship or fake trance mediumship. I didn't want to be labeled with the same label. So it came. My teacher kept saying, Kath Jones, she's passed away, but I used to say to her, when can I go public? When can I go public? And she go, when the time's right, you'll go public. And it did, it was just at the right time. So for those who are worried that you've got to wait 17 years, no, you don't, but you've got to practice your craft, as Val's just said. It's a matter of learning it. And it's a bit like building something out of Lego. Each piece has got to be put in the right place, or it's not what you're looking for. If it says you're going to build a starship and you put it together wrong, it's not the starship. So lots of people think they've done these quick fit courses, and they might think they've built the good foundations, but they haven't.
No,
I'm learning all the time, constantly learning all the time.
Absolutely. I liken it to, I played a violin in an orchestra, and I had to practice, every day, and it was like that. But you have to then go and practice with everybody else and make sure you're all playing together before you can actually play. So you've got to do all that basic groundwork before you can play in the orchestra. It is the same with mediumship. And I had 6 students on a live demonstration the other night, and they were fantastic. But sadly, one of the lovely ladies, the last message that she gave, it wasn't accepted by the audience. Now, I know for a fact that somebody was sitting in the audience and they could have taken that information. But, I'm going to actually do a course on how to be a good recipient. Because
said that so many times.
Oh, well, I was talking to a lady the other night, and I've got the opportunity of doing it, and I'm actually going to do it, because you sit there and they're sitting there, or they're eating their wrappers, or they're, doing their ironing. Now, because we're on live, they're doing their ironing or doing their hoovering, and they turn the sound off and they're not listening. And one of the girls said, she said it was so frustrating, because she said one lady had a finger in her ear and the other one was picking her nose and the other one was on the phone, and they could have all been taking this message. And the lovely girl whose message wasn't accepted, how sad for her. And it really knocked her.
It does knock your confidence, yeah.
No, and it does knock your confidence. So, we have to jump on the phone straight away and say, well, these things happen. And I mean, it will have happened to you a lot of times. It's happened to me a lot of times. And at the end, you feel like slapping them. You think, for goodness sake, pay attention. But it's different, I think, online, because we're not actually in a church hall. So everybody's just sitting there and has to behave themselves. Whereas here, you've got the distractions of the kid and the dog and the husband, having a beer and all the rest of it. And it is totally different. So we're getting lots of comments up here. Ali said something about, hold on, I got to go back, because Trudy's on, and Lenny, honesty and truth's the way forward. Ali said she's seen some very interesting trance mediums on TV specials. They appear fake, so it's hard to find actual good ones that you can trust. Yeah. You've actually got to see them live, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, but even seeing some live, there's a tutor at the Arthur Findlay College called Simone Key, and she said if you use your mediumship in a trance demonstration, you should know whether it's genuine or not. Yeah. Because you'll be aware of the company of spirit. And I always remembered that. And she said, just ask the spirit world, is this trance? And in some way, the spirit world will inform you whether it is or it isn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And if even as an audience participant, if you're looking at something, I mean, I've looked at so much trance work and thought, oh, for goodness sake, what are they on? So we've got Tracy. Tracy was on your course when you were here, Martin. Jenny's laughing. Ian said it. Yes, somebody should have taken that message. It was really hard, for a young new medium to get knocked like that. But she's coming on really well. So Rosemary Crawford says hello. She was at your course as well.
Hello, Rosemary.
So there's one. Jenny says, I had to ask one lady to sit down while I gave her a message. Yeah, because there was one lady putting all her ornaments on the shelf, and there was another one ironing her husband's jocks. And you think, oh, for goodness sake. Anyway,
it's a bit disrespectful.
Sorry?
It is a bit disrespectful.
It is very disrespectful.
We run the Wonderful Wednesdays, and the chairman, the first line we read out is, please be advised that this is a divine service. Please treat it as such. And if you need to do anything that's going to distract the medium or the service, please turn your camera off. We don't mind you listening, but we don't want to see you getting undressed.
Yeah. Oh, Jenny Doherty's seen even worse than that.
Well, I was assessing someone once, and his partner walked past in his underpants. And then he said, "We're not live, are you?"
That's something you see on a comedy sketch.
It was very John Cleese-esque.
So Jenny's asked somebody to sit down because and what I was going to say when I saw that was, I think in a church service, in a church hall, you have the reverence. And I think because we're doing this online, the reverence is not gone there. People don't hold the same or hold it in the same esteem. And I think that is such a shame. I really do.
I agree.
Okay, Jenny said that one trance medium during the trance opened one eye and said, "Is that okay?" and then closed his eye and carried on.
Well, I would say, but I've seen that done in England as well when they've peeked at the clock.
This was in England. So, who have we got? Does trance mediumship have to be done behind a closed cabinet curtain?
No. I'll answer that. The cabinet came in when spiritualism started, or modern spiritualism, shall we say, in 1848. It swept round a lot of the Western world, particularly America and Britain, where a big foothold in Britain. Because people, they weren't charging for the mediumship, but they were getting, famous people would set up a seance with the well-known mediums, and people would pay. So then they brought out the cabinet, and you can research it. They put triggers and wires and things in that would make things happen in darkness. But if you think of mediumistic energy, like radio waves, I can shut all the doors in my house. The radio will still pick up the radio waves.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, there's very little that'll stop an energy from traveling through, you know, to the recipient. And that's very much how mediumship works.
Yeah.
You know, the spirit will send a thought out. We're sending our thoughts out to receive thoughts. So there's a transmitter and a receiver on both sides. So you're doing both. So there's an antenna somewhere, not an aerial. An antenna just receives, an aerial transmits and receives. So there's these two aerials transmitting all the time. The cabinet's not, people say it builds the energy in the cabinet. That's a thought process. That's not, because they say Buddha's aura expanded for 3,000 miles. I don't know how they measured that. But they say his aura, you could feel, and the same with Jesus. Jesus could tell when somebody came into his aura. With the bleeding lady, he said, "Who's touched me?" And this lady owned up. She said, "It was me." He says, "Your faith has healed you." He knew that his cloak had been touched, that this person was inside their energy. So you don't need a box and a closed curtain. That's, you know, I don't want to upset anybody, but that's sensationalism.
It is. It is. And
doing it for effect rather than necessity.
And we've actually witnessed you doing your trance in broad daylight in a big hall, you know, in a room with all your students, and that was fantastic.
And also in your living room.
And also in my living room,
With the lights on, and you know, no, you don't need darkness for trance mediumship. The subdued light, for people who are listening, that's for physical mediumship. But again, the darkness came about so that people could be fraudulent, and there might be some physical mediums watching saying, no, you need it. Well, if you go to the Scandinavian countries, they do it in broad daylight, and they get levitation and all kinds, you know, because the conditions, there's lots of water there, natural substances, the houses are made of wood, so all these things make it conducive to the spirit, or the energies conducive to spirit communicate and physical mediumship. But you don't need darkness, it's just subdued light.
And as a trainee medium or a medium, you learn to build up your own energy, and you learn to expand your energy. So, and we do an exercise in one of my classes where somebody sits in the chair, they close their eyes, they expand their energy, and then you get somebody to walk into that space for them to feel it without hearing it, but they can feel it without actually seeing it. Sorry, because they've got their eyes closed. So. Yeah. Well,
there's an exercise that, and I'm going to give the man credit because he's one of my best friends and he might be watching, an exercise that Tim Abbott does. And what Tim does, he'll get a tray and he puts certain things, there might be an orange, an apple, a crystal, different things that will give off an energy. And he gets you to feel the energy of each one. And then he takes one, he blindfolds and he takes one away, and you have to say which one's gone.
Oh, that's a good exercise.
It's all about being open, and I sit every Tuesday evening for trance mediumship, and it started with healing with Edward, who your friends have met. And last week Robert came through, who works with me in the healing, but with the physical energies, where the patient actually feels what the spirit world are doing. And he was telling people about physical mediumship and how you've got to keep the energy moving all the time to the medium from yourself. And if there's 8 people in the circle, you're all doing that. And the people that were sitting could all see this energy, like almost like a plasma bulb. They could see it in the mind's eye, because I took them all to that place, what I call the mind space, which I taught you students when we were over there, that allow everything to take place in the mind. People think that the spirit world's out there and far away. They're in your mind. So if you take everybody to the mind space and get them there, it becomes a very visual experience, and they can see the energy and feel the energy. And it was show you this energy almost like the infinity sign spinning all around the circle. Everybody could see it spinning around the circle. they're from people from all over the world. America, there's an Australian lady came at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks ago. She wanted to come and she said, can I come? I said, yeah, but it's at this time. She goes, that's 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'm coming. She came. I gave you your name actually, Val, to look up. So
okay, thank you.
I think her name was Gloria. So watch out for somebody making inquiries for Gloria.
I've got an inquiry from a lady called Gloria. Was she a foreign lady?
She did look a bit Latino.
Yeah. I've got a
semi-comatose for transmediumship. I don't pay that much attention. When I take my glasses off, everything disappears.
Okay. So we got quite a few people. So Rhonda says hello. Jenny
Hello.
Doherty, when you talked about the man walking across the screen with his his clothes on, she said a mankini. Lenny says never connected with Martin's energy, but I'm already loving what I'm hearing. You would love him, Lenny, because he's gorgeous. Tracy says, now Tracy's been on the course, is sitting in the power the same or similar to sitting for trance? Because it feels similar to me. Is there a difference?
No, it's the same thing. You're building your power. Val explained earlier that she teaches people to be in their energy and build their energy. And for the ignorant mediums that just sit and think it's going to happen and they do nothing to prepare, then they wonder why they haven't had a very good service. Transmediumship's the same. You're building that power within, because what you're subduing is the consciousness, not the power. So the consciousness, you're shifting the state of consciousness and using a part of the mind that's used for transmediumship. Now, not all tutors teach that, but I believe there's different parts of the mind for different things. And we subdue the parts that we don't need, and we open the parts that we do need. So if you're doing mediumship on the platform, you're using, I always think it's from the frontal lobe of my brain. I don't know why, it just feels that way. And I'm sort of projecting it. You could say it's like third eye, projecting it towards the congregation, and nothing else affects me. It doesn't matter if somebody rustles a sweet paper, that's them being rude. I'm sorry if you're the sweet paper rustler, but that's you being rude.
Yes.
Or they flick it through the hymn book and they're not paying attention. It doesn't bother me because I'm focused. Like now I'm talking straight to the camera. That's what I'm like when I do my mediumship. I look at the person I'm talking to. And the noisiest demonstration I ever did was on the 5th of November. Now, for those of you that are expats will know that we call that bonfire night in England. And it's fireworks. Boom, 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 boom. Didn't affect because I was in my power. I was in that space. I've built that power and I'm using it. And I've changed, even on the platform or a private sitting, you're changing your state of consciousness. From being focused, I can look out the window, I can see the roses and the trees and the pears growing on my fruit trees. But now I'm back to you, I'm focused. Because I'm in the power here to be with Val. So in transmediumship, it's the same. But I always feel that my transmediumship's on this side, on the right side of my head. And when I go into the mind space, when I see my guides, they always come up from this side. I can see them approaching me from the right-hand side. You can't see what I feel them coming behind me, and then they're with me because I told them I'm building that power. And sometimes you think one's coming. Like last week, I thought, oh, it's going to be Edward. It's going to be a healing session. And when I started speaking, it jolted me when he goes, "Good evening, my name's Robert." Because it's the first time Robert spoke, but he wanted to talk about physical mediumship. So if you're in your power, the spirit world can use you. So I know it's a long answer, but basically,
Do you know, it's funny you saying about the not being distracted. Many years ago, I was doing a demonstration with a lovely friend of mine in the UK, and we were using a village hall. Now, there was like a cubby hole thing, which had all the chairs stored in there. And a lady had agreed to come or had asked us, could she bring a stand with all her crystals and things on? So we said, yeah. So she set it all up to one side. And halfway through our demonstration, the people wanted to use the hall next door and they needed access to the chairs in the cupboard. So she went to move her stand. The whole thing went belly up, and there was crystals and things going everywhere. And Martin kept doing his mediumship and then stopped and helped pick up, and I'm doing my mediumship and then stopped and helped pick up. It was the funniest thing, but we didn't lose that concentration of being with spirit. It was just incredible. We laughed so much about it afterwards. It was really, really good. So somebody, Trudy, has put a message up here. Mentalist Darren Brown was able to replicate mediumship, delivering accurate information, and he also called out a couple of English psychic mediums as fakes in documentaries. I think I actually saw that demonstration. He's very clever.
Yeah. And because it's on TV, you don't know what's been set up. And it's the same with mediumship. You don't know what's been set up.
But it's also very edited, and that's what people don't realize. They've got to remember anything on the TV is edited to the nth degree. So, for instance, sorry to interrupt you, but for instance, the lovely Colin Fry, he was doing Sixth Sense in the TV studio, and one of my students decided that she wanted to go, and I said, "Oh, go, great." And she came back and she said, it was terrible, absolutely terrible. But that show went to air and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So they picked the best bits and put it all together. So don't always believe what you see unless you're seeing it for real, I think.
Well, they did that many years ago with a famous medium who's passed away now. And it was Wicker's. I don't know if you remember it, Val. You're a bit younger than me, or is it a bit older? Wicker's World, Alan Wicker.
I'm the same age as you.
I know.
4 days. Both
21.
Yeah.
Alan Wicker. And the
I
medium
remember Alan Wicker.
So he'd gone on to Wicker's World, and he sat and gave one of the cameramen a message, and the cameraman could take everything he gave him. He was a Chinese man, the cameraman was. But the rest of the show, they made him look quite bad. They deliberately made him look, they didn't show the good side. And people's egos get involved here in mediumship. If you do a bad message, you've got to put it behind you and forget it. Because if you think you're never going to give a bad message, don't do mediumship. Because at some time, like the young student, somebody's not going to take the message, or somebody will take it. And then when they get into the message, and you're giving them the information, they can't take it, so they start saying no then, and somebody else who can place it won't speak up. Yeah. So I think Val put it very good. You know, they edit everything on the TV.
Yeah, they do. They do.
There's a thing called cold reading. You can, if you gave somebody 10 statements about themselves, you'd probably get 6 or 7 right. So what you do is you edit the 3 you didn't get right, and you look fantastic, because on a cold read, I mean, a lot of mediums now, well, they're not all the mediums, they're doing hot reading. They'll research you on Facebook if you know you're going to be there, and they'll tell you all about yourself from Facebook. Yeah, yeah.
There's some not good things about this. So we've got Christine, hello. Cindy,
Christine.
Hello. Can Martin see spirit as a physical entity as well as in the third eye? Well, of course you can, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but I see him in my mind. But sometimes in mental mediumship, it's subjective, which means it's in your mind. But occasionally it's so subjective, it appears objective. And I've seen that several times where the communicator is actually sitting with the recipient, and I say, well, your dad's he's just sitting there. I can see him. But it's still in my mind. It's just that it's been projected so objectively that it appears to be objective. But yeah, I see the spirits as clairvoyance. Yeah.
And I've physically, I've been physically slapped by them as well. It was quite funny, actually, because they were all men, slapped my backside, and it was all in the same week. So it was Spirit's way of saying, this is not a fluke, this is for real. So I just thought that was funny. Lynette, who was on your course when you came over, she said that she's got wonderful memories of the 3-day course in Sydney. 2 great tutors, thank you. That's really lovely. Danina, hello. Sending you lots of healing today and always. Kim is asking, when you sit in a trance state, do you see the person that you are channeling?
Sometimes prior to when I sit, yes. So what I do before I sit, I spend 15 minutes reaching an altered state, not in the trance state, but calming, putting my mind in the right place. And at that time, I will see them. When I start to say it, it purely becomes audible. They'll speak to me, and they'll tell me who's usually, apart from last week when Robert jumped in. But usually they'll say who. I know who's coming because they talk to me. And for instance, Edward's an old, late 19th century doctor, and he's got little half glasses. I always see him in a brown tweed suit with a waistcoat, and that's how I see him. But when I'm in the trance state, I don't become Edward. Edward completely takes over. And I know what he's doing, and I know what he's saying, and I'm in what's called the healing space. Then I can see the operations that they're doing, and I can talk to the doctors, asking what they're doing, while Edward's explaining to the audience what he's actually doing. That's how they keep my attention from interfering in the trance mediumship. They engage part of my mind visually, so I can see what's happening. So then I don't need to be nosy. I can just let Edward get on with his job.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I don't know whether it fits for trance as well, but I've been trying to say to students, we overcomplicate the process of mediumship. And I'm glad you're nodding, because I think if you keep it simple, I say KISS, keep it simple, stupid, but keep it as simple as you possibly can. And it makes it easier to learn how to do this. And to do, it doesn't matter whether it's trance or mental mediumship, whatever, it doesn't matter, but keep it as simple as you possibly can. I think that is extremely important.
Well, the 2 books I've written, the first one was Simply Mediumship, a Beginner's Guide. And I
have copies.
Simply Mediumship, a Beginner's Guide. And my second book was so successful, it sold out, and I can't get in touch with the publisher for some reason. So I've done it as an ebook now, but Simply Trance Mediumship, a Beginner's Guide. And with the Simply Trance Mediumship, I challenged myself, or perhaps it was the Spirit World challenged me. I sat for 3 months, twice a day, every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. I'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd finish at whatever time it finished. And I was cramming all this information was getting into my head and wondering what I was going to do. I thought, well, that's interesting. I was writing it down in a little book that I'd got, all the different exercises they gave me. And then I sat one morning at the end of the 3 months, said, right, you've got to write your book now. And I wrote the book in 2 days, wrote it all up, sent it off to the publisher. She got it published. When I got it back, I read it. I hadn't read it before then. That's the truth. That's the truth. I thought, wow, I wish I'd had this, but it's so interesting. But yeah, I typed 8 hours over 2 days.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your books, is both of them are so easy to read and so easy to follow. But what I also love is it's like listening to you talking. So it's not in any highbrow language or anything. It's just Martin is just telling us a story about how to do this stuff, which makes it so easy and so interesting. So Lorraine has just come on. Hello, Lorraine. It doesn't matter that you're late. We love having you here. Costa, if you want to know about courses, I've put Martin's details up, and I'll put my details up as well, because we both do courses, and the courses are about learning how to do mediumship and different types of mediumship. Christine Haas, hello. Katrina, lovely to see you. Don't you just love it? Not when the recipient is another reader who thinks they know everything and deliberately debunks. That happens sometimes, and that's a bit of jealousy and whatever. And we got to accept that. Paul Hart, hello. Do you know Paul Hart?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's in England. Yes. Paul and I go back, 20 odd years. And Christine, yes, is there. Hello. So keeping it as simple as possible, I think, is the easiest thing and the best thing. And that's what I try to do. And that's what I do with the students. Don't do that. Don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it as simple as you possibly can. So there's been lots of changes for all of us because of the situation that we're all in. And I know there were massive changes for you this year. It was a bit of an emotional roller coaster for you in some respects. So tell us what you've been doing and what you're doing now.
Well, I met a gentleman from Wales called Julian Jenkins. If you're watching, hello, Julian. And he put me onto Udemy, which is an online training facility. And they do everything from photography, catering, sewing. You can learn anything on Udemy. And so I started putting mediumship courses on there. I've done 3 with Julian, and I've done 3 of my own. And in all the titles of mine, the word simple is in them. So there's those 6, in fact, no, 7 courses, 4 with Julian, all about trance mediumship. And then the course I've done myself, the latest one is the simple guide to meeting your guide. The simple guide to trance healing 1 and the simple guide to trance healing 2. And it's just different little exercises. And then we've started an online church, as you know, you visit us occasionally, and Brett comes, and that's going quite well. The most we've had is 69 visiting, and the least is 12. So it's remained consistent, and it's very similar to a face-to-face church. If they think the medium's good, lots of people turn up. If they don't do the medium, they don't turn up. And then we've set up the Fox Pioneer Centre, and that's although the training at the moment is online, in England now the lockdown is virtually gone. You know, a mask is optional, all the shops are open, all the stores, the bars, the clubs. I mean, the night they said they're opening at midnight, people were queuing, so they were breaking the law because it wasn't midnight, and then they opened the dance floors to everybody to come in.
Wow.
So hopefully eventually we want to start doing those courses live, and you can look at that on the foxpioneercentre.org. So foxpioneercentre.org, and the courses are on there, and there's different tutors. There's Kim Moore-Cullen, Lynn Parker, myself, Tim Abbott occasionally teaches on there. So there's some well-known tutors and good tutors that are on there, and we teach different types of mediumship. At the moment, I'm loving my trance so much that I'm just focusing on trance mediumship at the moment. Although I do one-to-one mentorships, and they vary. Some are doing trance, some are doing trance healing, and I've got one lady who just wants to improve her mediumship. And a lovely thing she told me, because you've got to get used to this, where you're asking questions of the spirit world. It's not like, what's your name? What's this? Where do you live? You're sending the questions out. You build up so the spirit will know. And it's like when somebody says no, you're already saying, give me something else. And she wasn't doing that. And when she did a session last Friday, she said how lovely it was, because she'd done a demonstration. She realized she was asking these questions because she was getting the answers back. And that's what you've got to be aware of, that you need to speak to the spirit. It should be,
and it's funny because that reminds me of my own development. I was at the pulling teeth stage, is what I call it. You know, I've got somebody talking to me. I've got to take that on board. I've got a piece of jewelry. I've got to take that on board, and then I've got to give it out. Does anybody understand it? It was a real process. And then one day, I'll never forget the day it happened. I literally opened my mouth. I just changed groups. The first week of that new group, the class, my mediumship was exactly the same, this teeth pulling. And then the next week, I literally opened my mouth, and my mouth's going, and I'm looking around going, where on earth is that coming from? It frightened the life out of me. But it was just beautiful, because I literally opened my mind and my heart, and spirit were just talking as if I was talking as if I was them, because they were just giving it to me. So again, it's simple. It's not too difficult. So what are the other things that you've been? Ali's asking where you can get the books. If you go to Martin's website, Ali, you'll be able to get in touch with Martin and ask him about the ebooks and things. Is that right?
Well, you said you got some copies, didn't you? Or is she in England?
That's the last 2 I've got.
Right. Okay.
Oh, Ali's in Australia. Yeah.
The trance book is still I've done it on an ebook. If you wanted the other book in an e-form, it's not difficult. I've got a tool that'll turn it into an ebook that you can read on any platform. You can read it on your laptop, on your phone. So if you want them, just get in touch. She's got a pen, and she tells me, she says it's Marcol, MARCOL 557@gmail.com.
Sorry, I'll just put it on here, Martin.
Yeah.
Where's it gone? There it is.
Tell me who you are, and if you want them both in e-form. Sadly, the transbook's out of print, and the publisher, as Val said, she does them beautifully. The type's just right, the space nicely, it's well presented.
Sorry, what was the email again, Martin? Marcol
557@gmail.com.
Right. Okay, so I can put that one back up. Then I'll show. There you go. So that's Martin's website and email address for everybody.
557 35.
Oh, 555. Sorry. Oh dear. This is the lady that was a secretary for years and years. Edit. How do I edit it? Oh, there we go. Sorry. There you go. Done. Okay. Okay. So big changes, work all changed, and then you went into your courses, and you're doing now the, what was it, the ministerial. I'll let you explain that, because it's too big a words for me.
Well, I was a member of the Spiritualist National Union. I've left for personal reasons. We don't need to go into it. And after I left, I researched about being a minister. And as long as you belong to an organisation that ordains ministers, and you could have ministers, or I set up the Association of Independent Spiritual Ministers and wrote a course. The courses that Val's on about at TS Fellowship, they're all recognised courses by an Ofqual recognised awarding body. So it's a qualification that no one can take off you. It's yours for life. You do have to, they're at level 2, level 3. You do have to know mediumship. We don't teach you mediumship. We tell people that you're a good medium. So it's like a quality stamp. And it's through, so you can do it online. It's through assessment. So you answer some questions, and then the practical, you come onto a platform like this and you show us that you can, what you can do practically. And then, so when I left the SNU, I wrote a minister's course at level 4. So I don't know how to equate to Australian education, but here that's like a HND, a higher national diploma. Oh, sorry, HNC, higher national certificate. And it's got 7 sections. It's all about being respectful to the people, how to write a eulogy, how to prepare services. I can't remember off the top of my head because there's so much in there, but dress and etiquette, how to write a letter, all these kind of things that you go through, and then you send it in to be assessed. And then there's a presentation on each section, which you present to me or to some students. And then if you present it to students, you have to film it and send it me. Then I assess what you've done in the presentation to see if your ministerial skills are up to scratch. And if they are, then you get a level 4 certificate, and we ordain you and you become a minister. 2 people have passed so far. There's another 2 doing the course. And the eldest lady was 73. I'm not sure how old Andy is, but he's in his 50s, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
no, that's great.
So it's just, and with the Association of Independent, I don't say spiritualist ministers, we say spiritual ministers, because the lady that's passed, her religion is Jewish, but she believes in mediumship. She's a very, very good trance medium. She came to me because she said she needed confidence, and she's a wonderful trance medium, very good in all aspects, you know, in healing, evidential. And it's all right, the dogs are messing about, and Stephanie's just walking. So she's passed, but she sticks true to her Jewish faith, but she's got the spiritual side with it. So she doesn't have to change her religion to be a spiritual minister, which I think's lovely. So if you're Christian based, you haven't got to change your religion. You just become an independent spiritual minister, follow your mediumship, and you know, I mean, all the ministers can tailor the services to suit anyone. So my religion is spiritualism.
Yeah.
And so I could offer a spiritualist funeral, but it doesn't mean I couldn't do a funeral for someone who, you know, wanted a Christian sort of funeral.
Yeah.
And
So
basically,
Rosemary has just said that that qualification would be the equivalent to a first year uni
oh right, okay.
over here. So that's pretty good. So, okay, well, all that is great. Now, I wanted to just talk to you. I've got a couple of things here. So, teaching people. Oh, hi, Sylvia. Teaching people, and then you watch people doing mediumship. Excuse my cough. I'm going to be able to get rid of this soon because I'm having an operation to get rid of it. So that will be good. It drives me nuts. But anyway, when people do medical diagnoses in a reading, now I was always told and taught that you don't do that.
You're not allowed to. But
No.
the spirit world know that. So why would they give a diagnosis? But then when Edward comes forward, people say you're diagnosing. He's not. He's just talking about a condition they've already got.
Mm.
He will say to them, "I'm aware that you've had like one lady in the group. I'm not going to give a name because they're private, but she's had a stroke, and Edward was just talking to her about the stroke and explaining, and now she's improved. And then the other week she wrote to me and said that she was in the car the other day and she'd had healing on her head and her eyes, and she was in the car the other day and she thought she needed new glasses. When she took the glasses off, she could see.
Oh,
It was actually the glasses that were affecting the sight, so she took them off and she could see.
oh
So
wow.
He doesn't diagnose. He's already telling you what you. Some people say, "I need healing. I had a heart attack 3 weeks ago. Can you give me some healing?" And they come in the circle, and Edward will talk to them about what happened prior to the heart attack, during, and treatment they've had after, and it's very factual. They understand. I think there's only once where somebody couldn't place what he was. We sit every Tuesday, so once out of over 100 sittings to get one wrong. Even Edward gets it wrong sometimes. But as a medium, if I was picking up a medical condition, if you're picking it up and they say yes, so you say, they're telling me that someone's got, a cruciate ligament problem, and they say, that's me. You haven't diagnosed. You're telling them what the spirit world are telling them. But if the spirit world said to me, tell her she's going to have a heart attack or tell her she's going to have a stroke, I would not do that.
No.
Even if they, and I don't believe the spirit world would tell us. It's like somebody shocked me the other day. I was teaching at Fenton Church. I think you know that in Stoke, Val. I was teaching a 4-week course at Fenton Church, and I was saying, like we are now, what you should and shouldn't do. And this lady said she was sobbing because there wasn't enough students. I had to sit in with her. And I picked up on some things and I was telling her. Anyway, she said, can I ask you a question? She said, would the spirit world tell anyone that my daughter wasn't going to live? I said, no. I said, I've been doing this 24 years and the spirit world have never said, tell them the daughters. And because the daughters aren't well, they've got medical conditions. She said she gave me the day and date they're going to pass. I said, well, and I got the lady's grandmother because I was doing the exercise as well. Like you say, I don't tell people to do what I can't do myself. I said, your grandmother's just told you that somebody's been to hospital and you're waiting the results. It's going to be okay. She goes, well, that's my daughter. I said, well, do you believe your grandma or do you believe that medium?
Yeah.
I said, I don't believe the spirit world would tell you the day. I said, the spirit world come to bring upliftment, not to put you down and crush you. But that lady had lived with that until that date passed. The date's passed now. 5 years have gone by.
Do you know, I hear that those words so often, and I find it so hard that somebody has got the audacity to actually say that to somebody. I heard of a gentleman in the UK. Somebody told him that he was gone for blood tests. Yes, they're going to come back and you've got blah, 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 blah. And he went away and committed suicide. And when the day after his suicide, his blood test came back and there was nothing wrong with him. That is just absolutely wrong. So we are not to medically diagnose. I mean, I remember that from my basic training.
Prescribing. You shouldn't even prescribe that someone has a glass of water. Drink more water.
No. Not at all. So I want to go back to quick fix mediumship, because this is this bugs me, because people think, you know, they do a course and it could be a weekend course, and they think that oh, I had a great response to my weekend course and I was giving everybody mediumship readings, and then off they go, and they're charging for readings, and then you end up with people like we've just been talking about, who tell people things like that medical diagnoses. But it's not just about the giving of the message, it's the responsibility that goes with it. It's the how you deliver it. It's the way you are with your recipient. There's a whole host of things, isn't there? It's a multitude.
Well, if we give them an analogy, if you went on a woodwork course at the weekend and you took with you a mallet, you were told to bring a mallet, a screwdriver, and 2 chisels. So you go there and they teach you to make maybe a little shoebox or something. It doesn't make you a cabinet maker overnight. You can't go home and you look at the woodworkers, the teacher's tools, and he's got a shadow board, and there's 20 chisels, and there's lathe chisels, and there's saws, there's fret saws, there's band saws, there's all kinds of saws. And if you go and buy that and fill your garage, it doesn't make you a cabinet maker.
That's very true.
So with mediumship, it's the same. You can go to the most famous medium in the world, and like some of the famous mediums, they'll have 300 people in a seminar. You might get 1/300th of his time over that weekend. And the rest of the time you're practicing with students. You're not actually being taught, you're being facilitated.
Yeah.
When somebody's got 15 students in a class, or 16 students, have an even number. I like even numbers. If there's 16 students in a class, then you're going to get a 16th of the tutor's time. So it's already come down to a lot more time. The teacher can pay attention, if they split them into twos, can pay attention to the 8 groups. And if he hears someone, or she hears someone struggling, they can go to that group, say, well, try this. Then they're teaching. They haven't just give you an exercise. They're actually teaching you. So when you pick a course, you should pick a course with a maximum of 20 people on it.
Yes.
So if you split into twos, there's only 10 groups.
Yep.
The teacher can give you a 10th of their time. So they keep going to you, and they can see the ones that are doing well. But even the ones that are doing well, I always go to them and say, how did that work? Well, it was all right, but this. Then I tell them what they can try the next. So I'm teaching that person. Yeah. Well, you saw me at your school.
Yeah.
You go to the ones, and you were helping. You know, I said, they're struggling a bit, but I need to go here. So you'd go and you were teaching with me, because you say, well, try this now, try this. That's when you're teaching, because your experience comes through. If I said to all the people watching now, all right, I want you to pair off. And what I want you to do is, I want you to make a link for the person sitting opposite you. And I want you to bring someone through that, and they're going to talk about what they did for a living, whether it was a housewife or a surgeon. But that's the information I'd like to get. I could leave them then and let them do it. I facilitated in the class. I haven't taught them. The difference is when somebody says, I can't see what they're doing. So then I go to them, right, what have you got so far? You ask them, right, then the tutor should be able to link in.
Yes.
And say, right, just ask about, I never make the student look bad. I always tell the student what to ask about. Just ask them about this. And then once it starts to flow, what I've asked them to do comes through. That's teaching. Giving an exercise to someone is not teaching.
Yeah.
Helping someone to do the exercise of teaching.
Yeah. So let me ask you your opinion on this. Lenny says he never says a date and a day of when somebody is going to pass. He says your loved one is not going to get better.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't even say that.
Because you're deflating the person straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
The aim is not listened.
He said he tells them to treasure and make the most of the time that you have left. I don't think that's right, personally, Lenny. No.
Not Lenny. It's only our opinion, you know. If you feel comfortable doing that, I wouldn't be comfortable saying that, because you're crushing that person, even if you're trying to give it to him gently.
Yeah.
I have predicted 2 deaths, but not knowingly. One, there was Gerald, I remember him, Gerald Green, his name was, and both in the same church at different times. And I could see a photograph of Egypt with pyramids and his regiment sitting in front. I said, "Oh, you were in Egypt during the Second World War. You must have been an officer or a sergeant, because I can see that you're all sitting together." And he was in the sergeant's mess. I said, "Well, this," and he knew the man as a friend from the army that was communicating. He said, "He's telling me there's going to be a reunion." And Gerald said, "Yes, there is, the regimental reunion." And the next day, he had a heart attack and died.
Oh.
And his wife, Doris, came to him and said, "In a way, you were telling him, you prepared him."
Yeah.
The other one, I was doing my spirit art, and I'd drawn this lady's mom, Rita, was the lady. See, the effect it had on me, I still remember the names of the people. And I drew a tear on her cheek. I said, "I've just put some tears in." She's talking about the man who takes a forget-me-nots. She goes, "Oh, that's my brother." Well, Rita's friend was a lady I worked with, Kath. And Kath came to me the next day. She said, "I've got to tell you, the man that brought the forget-me-nots is Rita's brother, and he died last night."
Oh, wow.
So in a way,
Yeah.
I was preparing them, but
Yeah.
I remember the names of the 4 people involved so clear. And that's why I would never do it, because it never goes out of your head, the fact that.
No.
But I didn't tell you you're going to die. I didn't know.
Yeah, going on that, a reading is supposed to be about healing. For me, it's uplifting, it's motivating, it's inspirational, it's giving somebody hope. And, because like the situation that we're all in at the moment, people out there, they want to know that we're going to get okay, and they want to know everything's going to be better. If they're unwell, they want to know that there's going to be, they're going to be fine, etc., etc. So we can't fill them with doom and gloom. We've got to give them that upliftment.
Positivity.
Healing.
Mediumship should always be a positive experience. The near side to what Lenny does, if I say, they're telling me that something, and someone's in hospital, and they'll say, "Yeah, it's my mum," then how I usually say, I said, "Well, normally when they talk about people in hospital, it's because they're bringing them healing. So just go back and tell your mum that Dad came last night and he's sending you some healing."
Yeah.
They probably are going to pass. I've never had it since Gerald and Rita. I've never had it where I've predicted death or illness or anything.
No, and as I said, my training, SNU training all those years ago, was you don't do that. Wendy's just said 6 weeks before her mum died, she saw a medium, and she kept just telling her all her problems would go away in 6 weeks. And of course, she died in 6 weeks. So yeah, it's not quite the same, I suppose. But anyway, so your passion is teaching.
Yeah.
Love
it. I never thought I'd be teaching.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a medium. It happened so quick. And the 4th of January 1997, my dad died. I went to the hospital, saw him lying there, and I wish I never did, because my sister said I needed to, or else I'd never get over it. I wish I hadn't, because he didn't look like my dad. And then on the way home, hearing voices. So I just followed what the voices said. The first one was go to the church. I went to the church. Then it just went on, go to the beginning, because they put me in. The teacher said, "You've got the gift. You've been in the intermediates." And I was like, "What's the gift?" I hadn't been out the army long. I was a trained infantryman. It's like, what's the gift? So anyhow, I went in the intermediates, and I couldn't do it. The exercises, I'd had no foundation. This goes back to getting good training. Got no foundation. So I went in the beginners class, and it started to build gradually. And I'm still friends with that first tutor, and a mom who taught me the healing. And then I started doing the SNU's courses. Nothing wrong with the SNU's courses. I've taken loads of them. And people were saying, "What are you doing that course for? Spirit will teach you everything." And the Spirit can't teach us everything. They know, because we've got personal responsibility in life.
Yes.
It's like a geography teacher giving you an atlas and saying that's all you need to know about geography. Just read that and you'll know everything. It doesn't teach you about, how people went to Australia, how Australia became the great nation that it is. I'm not sucking up to it. It is a great nation.
Liar.
America, all these countries that people have visited. and learning about their cultures. Although we're all similar, we speak English, and that, we'd learn about people's cultures in geography. And spirit's the same. Your guides will teach you things, but then you need the experience of other people that have been through what you're going through to help you. So I first started teaching, they said, so I don't know if you heard Steph shouting at the dog then, he's chewing a carrier back. They asked me to take the beginner's circle. So I took the beginner's circle. Then after a couple of years, I progressed to the next. Then I passed some awards and qualifications with the Spiritualist National Union. I went on the Training Awards Committee. And that's when it really took off, because they wanted a tutor at the Arthur Findlay College that was on TNA, as it was called then. So I went through the tutor training program, and it's just blossomed from there.
Yeah,
I love teaching people. And you said at the beginning, I don't give them anything to do that I can't do myself. Even if I come up with an exercise, because I teach every Wednesday and Friday on a mentorship. So I have to come up with a new trance exercise every week.
Yeah.
I then try it myself at home, or I'll do it in my circle just to see, well, that does work. So I just love teaching and seeing people achieve. I'm not one of these tutors that beats people down, as you know, you've seen me. I'm sort of a stroker. I pat them on the back, I lift them up, and they should all go home feeling they've achieved something. If they don't, then I haven't done my job. If they haven't learned something in a day, a weekend, like my mentorships are an hour. So if they haven't learned something in that hour, I'd feel bad about myself.
Yeah. There's a lady here called Paula Deeming, who says, love listening to you, so down to earth. She's taken your trance course, trance healing course, and it really taught her a lot. So Paula Deeming. But one of the things that I was going to say was teaching. I learn every day from my students. And I found that it's improved my mediumship tenfold. It's amazing.
Yeah. I used to be quite opinionated. I won't say why, because I can't
imagine that, Martin.
I don't want to not. No, you must do this. You must do this. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. That's rubbish. I used to be very much that way because that's how I was brought through.
Yeah.
But about, I would say 9 years ago, my whole attitude changed. I thought, this is their experience. You should be enhancing the experience, not saying you're doing that wrong. Because if I say somebody's doing something wrong that they've been doing naturally for 4 or 5 years, and I say, this is the way you do it, then I'm crushing them.
Yeah.
And they might try my way and not be able to do it. So I give them the exercise. They say, well, I don't do it that way. I said, well, just try this way. And then you've got another way of doing something. And the amount of times people say, I've tried that exercise, it really works, it's lovely. Can I use it with my students? I say, yeah, of course you can. Spirit given for spirit use, Spirit will don't give a tutor an exercise to keep and say, this is mine, you can't have it. Which is give you an exercise so that it spreads and everybody learns. And that's why there's so many different tutors and so many different ways. They're trying to capture as many people. Jesus said, I'll make you fishers of men. We're the same. We're trying to get as many people to believe in this spiritual pathway.
Yeah.
They've got to try and facilitate everyone. Now, I've got one student who believes that she's got 3 alien guides and a Lyran. Now, who am I to take that belief away from her? If a mediumship's working, it's just quite a good medium. Who am I to take that mediumship away from her? Mm-hmm. I don't personally believe that aliens, the souls of dead aliens, would communicate with us. That's my personal belief. But it's not my job to take her belief away from her.
That's very true, actually, isn't it?
So everybody has their own belief. And I still give her exercises. She carries out the exercises and she gets the information, whether it is aliens or that's just the way she believes she's receiving it.
Yeah.
It doesn't destroy people's belief system.
No, and I think it's important because I encourage and nurture. That's the words. I love the way you said you stroke them, but yeah, you might get into trouble for that one, Martin. But yeah, I just say I nurture them and just encourage them to do the best that they can with what they've
Yeah.
got, but then enhance it with new ways of
Yeah.
looking at things as well.
Yeah.
So Simone said you didn't meet Simone last time you were here, I don't think, and she said you're an interesting gentleman. Lovely listening to you, and Gillian said the same. Yes, if anybody's looking, tomorrow night you're on at Brett's Church, which is Connected Spirits Inner West, which is online. If anybody wants that information, I'll just put the banner up quickly because I do have it here somewhere. There we go. So it's the combined service with Connected Spirits Inner West and Wollongong, because we're all in lockdown. We're in lockdown. We're going to be in lockdown till Christmas, I reckon. But so if anybody wants the information, go to that connection or ask me and I will give you the information. So Martin is the medium tomorrow. And if anybody is interested, Karen Wood, you know Karen Wood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Karen and I go back 30 years.
Hello, Karen.
Sorry?
I said, hello, Karen.
Yeah, hello, Karen. You taught her, didn't you?
And at some time, I think she's been in a group, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So tomorrow night is Martin on platform at 7 o'clock in the Australian time with Brett Thomas. That'll be lovely. We're really looking forward to that. And that's 10 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Sorry, it's so early, Martin, but it's better than doing some church services at 6:30 in the morning, which I've done in the UK, which I think is quite funny. And Karen just said it's a good church to serve, and Carolyn said 2 nights of Martin, yay. So that's all good. So they're obviously enjoying listening to you. So, and then yes, courses. So Martin's courses, we've already said, are on his website, which I did put up earlier on, but if anybody didn't get that, let me know. And my courses are the same. They're all on my website. Mine are easy because it's just valhood.com. And Jenny Doherty is saying that wonderful church at Brett's Church. It is always lovely, and he always gets really good numbers as well. Vicky Livingston says she's looking forward to it. So that's all good. So now we come to the part. I can't believe that hour and bit has gone so quickly. So we obviously enjoyed talking. Costa, if you want any information, if you want any information on courses, please let me know, and I can help you. I think you might be in Australia, but I know I've seen your name before, but if you want any information, please let me know. And if anybody wants any information about mine or Martin's courses, please let me know, and I can forward the information to you. Oh dear, Spirit's close to me. They're itching my nose again. So we come to the part of the evening where we're going to do healing. And for me, this is a very important part. And I know for Martin, the healing is a very important part as well. And we have to, or we're going to send healing out to our world. Okay, I'm just going to put this on ready. Hold on. Let me just do this quickly. We don't want to pay the boogie woogie man again, do we? I thought that was a great choice of music for you, Martin.
I was actually the drum major of the Staffordshire Regiment for 9 years.
Wow.
And then prior to that, I was an infantry soldier, and we say B Company, but the American way is Company B. But yeah, very good.
Anyway, so it's funny. I've got a funny story because my ex-husband was in the Grenadier Guards, and I was introduced to the drum major. And I went up and I said, "Oh, you're the drum majorette." And my husband just died on the spot, and of course the drum major thought it was so funny because I'm thinking about all those girls in funny little pom-pom skirts and things.
Yeah.
Yes, but he wears a pom-pom skirt as well. So anyway, there we go. So I'm going to ask you all to don't hang around if your head starts. I don't even know what that means. If a head starts. Oh. Don't hang around people if the head starts spinning. Oh, Lorraine, you are funny. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. But let's do the healing. So I want you to imagine that you're all linking hands, and we're going to be sending our energies out through our left hand and receiving that energies in through our right hand. And we're all going to be connecting to one another, every single one of you that's on here, and anybody that listens to this afterwards, please do this exercise as well. Our world is in need of a lot of help and healing. So we're sending that energy around the group of us here. And then we're going to imagine that that energy is expanding out from us. We were talking about this earlier on, expanding our energy. So we expand our energy into our room and into our town, into our state or county, into our country, and then across our world. We just want to completely saturate our planet with the energy from our group. We're sending out healing to each person that is here and each home that is represented here as well. And then we just imagine that the world, the earth, the planets, the animals, the plants are getting all the healing that they need at the moment, no matter who they are. I'll just put this music on. And just imagine that you're sending as far as you can that lovely, lovely energy out. And we can all do that. We can all do this. It's a thought process. Your world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people around if you care about moving, make a better place for you and for me. Feel the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people around if you care about living, make a better place for you and for me. Feel the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people around if you care about living, make a better place. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Martin, for being here. Thank you for all that wonderful healing energy that's gone out across our world and to each one of us here. And know that that healing is real. It is real. Thank you, every one of you. And I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow night with Martin, who is our lovely medium. And then again next Monday. I'm here every Monday at 7 o'clock. Yep, as Simone has just said, stay safe, everybody, and take care. And remember, if anybody needs anything, Vicky Livingston, I don't know whether it was a typo, but she said, thank you, Val and Martian, for most grateful. I love that, Vicky. That is so classic, considering we were talking about Martians. But thank you all. You're gorgeous and we love you. And if anybody needs anything, any help for anything, please let us know, because we can help you if we need to. Okay, thank you all so much. Bye. Bye. Vicky says sorry. That's just so lovely. Bye, everybody. Take care. Stay safe.